This is the last video of the year that I'm going to film in front of my daughter's bedroom Christmas tree.
Yeah. I've been all around the world.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mouse Diva channel. I am Dana and I have a book related video obviously for you today. Now, the name of this tag, I have to make sure I get it totally right because it's a long one. Disney Booktubers 2020 Goodreads Challenge End of the Year book tag. This was put together by my friends Heather, the Disney Housewife, and Nina, Wrestling with Disney. I will put links to their channel down below. So we're in this little kind of group, kind of Disney Booktubers group. And they came up with this fun tag. So it's not necessarily a Disney, all these books won't be Disney related because this is all the books that we have read during the year. We're all, you know, what do you say, participants of Goodreads or members of Goodreads? I mean, anybody can do it, but Goodreads, if you're not familiar, is a place that you can just... It's a great way to inventory all the books you want to read, have read, and currently read. And they have a challenge each year where you put down your goal of how many books you want to read in the year, and it tracks it for you. I came down on mine a little bit this year. I put 25 books. The year before, I think I put 30, and I didn't make it. So I lowered it down to 25. But before then, I think I normally would put, like, I think the first year I started with 20, and then maybe I went up to 22, then maybe 24, and I kept reading more and more, so I kept upping it. This year, I will actually bump it back up to 30 because I will make 30 books this year, no problem whatsoever. So let's get with the tag. Number one, how many books did you read this year? Well, today is Christmas Day, so I still have some days left. Currently, my Goodreads states that I've read 27 books, I think. But I'm currently reading 5. I don't know if I'll finish all 5 of them yet. So yeah, I'm going to say at least 30 books that I would have read this year. Number 2, what was the first book you read this year? So, you know what? Let me show you something. See all these books? This isn't all the books I've read. These are just the books that I own that I've read this year. And I did not know that books could be so temperamental, so dangerous. I just broke a fingernail picking these books up. Now I can get back to the first book I read. So actually the first book I read this year, I am really bummed about my fingernail because it broke all the way down in there. Like, I don't have fake fingernails, people. I just have real fingernails, and it's like really broken. That's gonna hurt getting that off. Okay, too much information, I know. Okay, first book I read was actually lent to me by a friend. I have a friend that is, she is in her early 80s, and we talk books all the time, and she lends me probably at least 10 books a year, and I'll read them, give them back, and she'll give me another one that I just must read. So the first one was one that she had lent me, so I don't have that book in hand. That was The Glass Castle by Jeanette Wells. People, oh my gosh, let's just say some parents do not need to be parents. This book is based on a true story, and all I can say is what this girl went through, I'm just surprised she's alive. That's all I can say. Just unbelievable how some parents raise their kids. Oh my gosh. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give any spoilers. I was so into this book mainly from disbelief as a parent. Even if I wasn't a parent, I would be in disbelief at what this girl and went through. I'm like speechless. Let's get on to the next one. Number 2. What was your most anticipated read? Well, that was easy. I can bet you, I know 100% without a doubt that there is nobody watching this right now that probably even knew about this book, but this book was not on their most anticipated, and that is Destination Truth by Josh Gates. So Josh Gates has a TV show, Expedition Unknown, and then some other versions of it, and he is sort of like one of my dream lives, sort of. Some of the places he goes, I would not go around, and all over the world. And he was an archaeologist, or studied to be an archaeologist for a while, and he is so darn funny. His comedic timing is amazing. That's what makes the show a success. It's not necessarily all the places he goes and what he uncovers and the things he's trying to get the truth. It is just how darn funny he is. But anyway, he goes on all these adventures, and he's actually telling his story about how he got the job and different things like that. He actually has a connection to Animal Kingdom. Yes, the Animal Kingdom. He has a connection. Anticipated because I didn't realize it was out, and as soon as I found out about it, I immediately ordered it online, because of course you can't get it at a local bookstore, at least not here. And I just could not wait for this book to come in the mail. And when it came in the mail, yeah, I didn't read it in one day just because of when I started reading it late in the evening, but I did read it in 2 because I mean, it's an easy read. I mean, look at it. Yeah, pretty easy read. But that was my most anticipated book, is the Josh Gates book. Number 4. What was the shortest book you read? That was it. Well, I grabbed a handful of books because I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to have to look at the pages to figure out which was the shortest. So I read a lot of these Images of America books. That is because, well, one, they're just so darn interesting, but because of my family channel, Life's a Whirlwind, I research these places so that I can do, especially like graveyards, and just so I can do some historical stuff. I have a lot planned for 2021 that is not up on the Life's a Whirlwind channel yet, and these books come into play. So actually the shortest one was Asheville's Riverside Cemetery was the shortest. As you can see, I have all these little bookmarks in here because of the research that I'm doing, but I have quite a few, and even in this one, quite a few of these for a lot of upcoming projects that I'm working on for that channel. Number 5, what was the longest book you read? That would be the book that was very temperamental and fell off. It is The Secret Keeper by Kate Morgan. So it was, how many pages was this book? So this was 481 pages. This is probably the book that I would say is the most mainstream book that most of you guys would have at least heard of. A lot of my books you're not going to have heard of, most likely, but this one I think pretty much everyone has heard of. 6, what book surprised you the most? It can be good or bad. Normally I'm a very positive person. I tried to keep things on the positive end. Normally I'd go with the good. In this instance, I'm going to go with the bad. So The Haunting on Ashburn House by Darcy Coates was actually, a Once Upon a Time. If I saw this on the bookstore, I would definitely pick it up just because it is a haunting. I do like ghost stories. Anything that has like an old abandoned looking house, town, building, anything, I'm probably going to pick that book up. So I would have picked it up and possibly bought it. What disappointed me about this book is how actually gory it got at parts. Like, I was really in disbelief. I'm like, what? I am not a gore person. I don't watch horror movies. So this one really caught me off guard because of how gory it got, and descriptive of its goreness sometimes. It's actually listed as horror fiction. So of course I didn't look at that until I finished the book, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I would have never actually went to the horror section to get this book. Now, I'm not saying the book was bad. It kept me interested. I'm just saying I enjoyed that part the least. 7, what was the worst book you read? Ah, crud. I didn't write this down in my notes yet. I really didn't read any bad books, so I guess I'm gonna have to go with the previous Darcy Coates book, just because it had the most parts that I didn't like in a book. What book, number 8, what book exceeded your expectations? That was easy right away. Death on the River of Doubt, Theodore Roosevelt's Amazon adventure. Okay guys, this is actually like a juvenile book actually. So I was able to, really read this really quick. But what exceeded my expectations is how informative this book was, and talking history. Not that history would bore me anyway, but sometimes history books can kind of almost get textbookish. Even though I don't mind, I've read history textbooks for fun, but I think you get what I'm talking about. I was so enamored about all the things that I didn't know about him, and I knew a lot about him, that I learned in this book. And because it's like I said, you actually get it in the kids section. Yeah, I'm trying to see if it's a Scholastic book from Scholastic Press. So I'm not gonna, because I know this is gonna kind of be a long tag, but I am gonna read you the back of this book. If you were into history or even just into Roosevelt, let me just say that I'm actually going to do a review on this book later. But let's just say this man was tough. Really tough. What he went through on the Amazon, he was lucky to come out alive. I'm just going to read you the back. Roosevelt had slammed his leg into a boulder, gouging his shin. As his blood oozed into the piranha-infested water, he quickly waded to the river's bank and limped back to the campsite at the foot of the rapids. At first glance, the wound appeared to be minor, but the former president knew what a bloody gash to his leg really meant, especially in the unknown and unforgiving jungle. Roosevelt was knocking on death's door. And this just reminded me, there's murder in this book. Like, this is real life, and there was murder. Somebody was murdered in the group. The group of them went. That's all I'm gonna say. That's how interesting. I'm like getting goosebumps. I'm getting so excited. So for basically a kid's book, this so exceeded my expectations. I just cannot tell you how much this exceeded my expectations. I'm sure that you're like, wow, she really does read a variety of books. And I really do. And I swear, I do have Disney books down here. I can't remember if they're actually going to be mentioned, like one of my answers for one of the questions. But I will show them all at the end if I haven't mentioned it throughout. So number 9, what author did you read the most of? So it wasn't a particular author, but the images, the history images books I showed you, they're the ones I read the most, I guess, author. Number 10, if you could recommend one book you read this year to your subscribers, which would it be? Okay, so raved about the Roosevelt book. I'm gonna go with a different one. 4 Dead Queens. Now, this is not the cover that's on regular bookstores. This was an Owl Crate, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got this out of the book subscription box, Owl Crate. So all of their covers look different. But this one really kept, yeah, this is because I kept all the things. This is Owl Crate. So it's a story of these 4 queens, and there is murder involved. This is a young adult type book. So, One Big Lie, 2 Forbidden Romances, 3 Days to Catch a Killer. Don't let the romance part catch you off guard. I'm not a mushy-gushy romance type person, just letting y'all know. But it does hit a little bit on some romance. But it kept me engaged, and until Owl Crate came along, these type of books, this type of genre, the young adult, the young fantasy, I probably would not have ever even ventured into that section. So Owl Crate actually brought these types of books to my attention years and years ago, and I have enjoyed every book they have sent me, which says a lot since it's something that I would have never picked off the shelf. Number 11, did the challenges of 2020 hurt or help your ability to read? Not necessarily what you're thinking of, 2020 making it hard for me to read, but my surgery did. So I had major surgery in the beginning of March, and it was a 2-month recovery period. It was, if you want to know more about that, just no crud. Is that on Life's a Whirlwind? I feel like I put it on Life's a Whirlwind, but I may have put it here. I don't know. Whichever one, I'll link it to the end at the end of this vlog. Explaining everything. But major surgery, 2 months recuperation. So I'm thinking, oh, and it was perfect timing, by the way. It was right before everything shut down for the virus. So yeah, the beginning of March. And I'm thinking I'm going to get all of this reading done. I mean, I always have a big stack of books to be read, but I really thought that I would get a lot read. But I've had surgery before, but I had no idea how darn tired I was going to be for like 3 weeks. Like that. Yeah, major surgery, I guess, just when you're cut open that much, your body, I guess, just takes a while to heal. I was in denial the whole time, thinking, yeah, whatever. It was really yeah. So that's what affected my ability to read. I would have read more if it was not for my surgery. 12, what book are you currently reading, and do you think you'll finish it before the year's end? I guess I technically kind of already touched on that. Yes, I will finish reading some of the books. I just grabbed 3 that were closest to me. So finally I'm showing you a Disney book, but this is volume 2 of the Tales from the Haunted Mansion book. I read the first one, was kind of a little disappointed in that one. I read that years ago, but I went ahead at some point and picked up the second one, and it's a little different than the first one. Really kind of again, another kind of like simple, easy read, because it's basically meant, you know, kids can read this book. Well, kind of, depending on the age. These are actually a little bit, I won't say gory, but it's like pushing it. Just maybe a sentence here and there would be that way. But, so I'm currently reading that one. I'm currently reading The Lost Colony of Hatteras Island. I told you guys, a lot of history and travel. I'm all over it. And here we go again. This is the book I got today for Christmas. Rebel Richmond. You'll actually, well, I don't know which is going to be first. You may have already seen this in my Christmas haul. It may go up before this one, because this goes up on the 28th. I don't know. We'll see. Life and Death of the Confederate Capital. So I actually grew up in Virginia, so I love reading Virginia history. And I can't even remember where I saw this advertised or something, so I had pointed it out to Mr. Mouse Diva that I wanted this for Christmas, and I've already started reading it. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's about 8 o'clock tonight. But anyway, so those are 3 that I'm currently reading, but there's others. I think there's 3 more in the other room. But I'll at least get through at least 2 more by the year's end. Okay, number 13, did you finish your 2020 Goodreads challenge? Yes, and more. And number 14, bonus for Disney YouTubers. What book that you read do you think Disney fans would most likely enjoy? Okay. So, I really did not read a lot of Disney books this year. I read so many Disney books last year. But this is not the one I'm recommended, but I did want to show you. So I actually got this book last Christmas, I believe. Yeah, sometimes it takes me a while to get to a book. The Queens of Animation, the untold story of women who transformed the world of Disney and made cinematic history. So this was a pretty long book too, and I really did enjoy it. It was one that it took me, at least 6 months to get through, because I would read a few chapters and then other books would get my interest more and I would need to finish those. So this was kind of like my back to book, because there was a lot of, I don't know, parts of it were a tad bit dry, but still very, very informative. So I did read that one, but the one I'm going to recommend is Black Spire. So this was actually my very first Star Wars book that I ever read, and it's gotten me hooked. It was really, really good. Mr. Mouse Diva had read it. I had gotten it gave him this book for Christmas last year, I believe, and it takes him so long to read a book. If he gets through 3 books a year, it's a miracle. There's books that I've given him that were thick, a little bit thicker than this, and it basically almost take him a year to read. Not that he doesn't enjoy reading, it's just that he falls asleep. He's like, he can't read at night at all. This is the one I would recommend. I was really, really into this book, and I never thought, even though I love Star Wars, I love the movies, but I didn't think I would really get into the books. So this opened my eyes to what the books could be like. So I will be reading more of these books, and actually I think I may have taken a lot of notes on this one, and I was going to review this one itself. What happens, guys, is I have all these plans for all these videos, and videos that actually get filmed, and I'm so behind on just getting them up because something else more sensitive comes up. Sorry, but yeah, you might get the review on this at some point. There is the book tag. I want to thank Heather and Nina for coming up with some great questions. Now I'm going to kind of real quickly go through a couple more books that I read this year, and that is the book Women of Troublesome Creek. Guys, this one, there was people way back when in Kentucky, this is true, that had blue blood. Yeah, one day I'll go into more detail about that. So I really do like true stories. As you can tell, I don't really have like I said before, like romance books. So the Beantown Girls was another one that I had read, and that the war took the lives they had planned for, but gave them lives they were destined for. These were women that were in the Red Cross Clubmobile. Now this is fiction, but I mean, there were women in the Red Cross Clubmobile, and they would basically go around to different camps and just help with soldier morale, give them coffee, things like that. The Last Piece, this was also a Once Upon a Time book club book, and this one has to do with these sisters. Their mother disappears to a Greek island, like without explaining anything, and to them they're like, she's never done anything spontaneous. So it's a mystery, basically kind of a family mystery book on why that she took off. Now, I figured this out so early on. I am one of those that is constantly trying to figure the book out, and I'm not even really trying, it just happens. It's kind of like a movie. Mr. Mouse Diva's like, just relax and enjoy the movie or the book. Why are you trying to figure things out? It's not like I'm purposely doing it. It's just my mind is always like, oh, this is a clue, basically. The Secret Letter. It is inspired by an incredible true wartime story. I don't know how I end up with reading a lot of wartime books, but I really, really do. So we have Lost Attractions of the Smoky Mountains. I'm all like any roadside attraction books. Love, love, love. One of my dreams is to actually go down Route 66 at some point. And then Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. That's also like a young adult book. That was also an Owl Crate book. We have Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. I go more into detail in this book in one of my haul vlogs. It's not up yet. And The Hidden History of Florida. Whenever I travel, I go to the local bookstore at Barnes & Noble and get local books. And that's because my discount, my educator's discount, does not work online for some reason. So I always get them when I'm out and about because I can't do it online. And Where the Lost Wander is another of the Once Upon a Book Club books. And this had to do with the trail of basically everybody going out west. Totally opened up my eyes to the hardship and what happened to all those people going on covered wagons to go out west. Like, oh my gosh, I would not have wanted to be around during that time. Not at all. Okay guys, so anybody out there that wants to do this tag that's part of Goodreads, please do it. Let me know that you've done it and comment below if you're going to do it. Have you read any of these books? Do any of these books sound interesting to you? Please comment below. I love talking about books and I always answer all the comments. All right guys, and to the next page.